Welcome to our Silver Springs area market update. I'm Ron Wilstein, a broker at Keller Williams Luxury Properties here in Park City, and we're going to take a look at what's been happening in the Silver Springs area in terms of sales and prices and you name it. But I want to begin by giving you an overview of what is happening in the Park City real estate market. Over the past 12 months, there's been 1,278 sales in Park City. Now, that consists of homes, condominiums, and vacant land, and that is all real estate brokerages combined. That's down 183 sales, or 13% from the same 12-month period the year before. This graph here shows you homes, condominiums, and lots, and it breaks it down for the period of October 2015 through September 2016. That's depicted by the red bars. Silver bars are the same 12-month period the year before. You can see here that the number of sales of homes is down by 5% from 531 sales to 506. Condominiums, more significant drop, 17% from 734 sales previous year to 606 during the last 12 months. And lots down 15% from 196 sales to 166. But everybody wants to know about prices. Let's take a look at what has occurred with regard to prices. This graph here is showing you medium home sold prices during the same period, October 2015 through September 2016 in red. This time I've broken it down into two categories, Park City and Snyderville Basin. Silver Springs area consisting of Silver Springs, Northshore, and Southshore are of course in the Snyderville Basin. Let's take a look at prices in the city limits. They're up 18% with the medium sold price climbing from $1,350,000 all the way up to $1,594,500. Snyderville Basin, a nice 12% increase from $862,500 to $962,500. So $100,000 price increase year over year for that 12-month period. Here we're looking at medium sold prices for condominiums in the city limits as well as in the county. It rose by 16%. In the city from $545,000 climbed all the way up to $630,000 for a medium sold price. In Snyderville Basin rose to $450,000 from $387,500. So nice increases, double digits. And here we're looking at medium lot sale prices in the city limits, actually down by 10% from $676,185 down to $610,000. Do keep in mind that over that 12-month period, there were 21 lot sales in the city. So this doesn't represent a lot of transactions. You could have higher quality lots 2 years ago, lesser this past year. That could account easily for a 10% decrease. Snyderville Basin, where there's a larger quantity of sales, we see a 32% increase from $340,000 all the way up to $450,000. So many more people purchased lots in order to build homes on it, and it drove prices up. So with that in mind, that's an overview of what's happening in the Park City market. Let's turn our attention to Silver Springs area. And when I talk about Silver Springs, I'm talking about the Silver Springs subdivisions, North Shore, and South Shore. When I combine those, home sales were actually down by 27% last year. You can see that they had 11 sales versus 15 the year before. Now when I break it down into the specific subdivisions, it's pretty interesting. In North Shore and South Shore, we saw a decrease in number of transactions. It was even in the Silver Springs subdivision. North Shore had 3, dropped to 1. Silver Springs, 8 transactions altogether. South Shore dropped in half from 4 to 2. So a lot of the decline happened to be in the North and South Shore subdivisions. In the Silver Springs area, we like to look at the pace of sales. We call this absorption rate. What absorption rate is it is the rate of sales anticipated by the current inventory of homes on the market in Silver Springs, based upon looking back 12 months at what sold over the last year. And Silver Springs is reflecting a selling pace of 1 sale every 33 days, which is very, very good. There are currently 3 homes on the market in the Silver Springs area, which equates to a 3-month inventory. And the prices we saw ranged quite a big spread here from $640,000 on the low end all the way up to $1,250,000, giving us a medium sold price of $835,000. Now that is down from 13% by 13% from the previous year's value, which was all the way at $955,000. When we break it down by the specific subdivision, this is pretty interesting. We see Northshore and Southshore that had a decline in the number of transactions actually rose by a greater amount than Silver Springs in terms of appreciation. Northshore saw 18% appreciation year over year, climbing from $855,000 as a medium sold price all the way up to $1,010,000. Again, not a lot of transactions make up these sales, but this is accurate data. In the Silver Springs area, the value actually dropped by 17%, with the median price falling from a little over $1,003,000, all the way down to $830,000. Again, we saw 8 sales in each year. Properties different enough that can account for that much of a decrease. And I want you to look at that and say, gee, nobody wants to buy Silver Springs, and therefore values are dropping. That's just not the case. In Southshore, we saw climb in the medium sold price from $794,500 all the way to $992,500, a 25% increase. That gives you an idea what's happening in terms of prices as well as number of sales in North Shore, Silver Springs, and South Shore. If you're interested in receiving a printout of the actual homes that make up that summary data I just presented, send me an email to ron@thewilsteinteam.com, and I'd be happy to email that to you. You'll be able to see exactly which properties, see pictures of each one, and that will give more value than just a summation of what I'm providing here. I want to share with you how you can get information about the Silver Springs area whenever you wish. It's very simple. Simply go to our primary website. We have 3 websites, but this is our main one, BuyParkCityRealEstate.com. Then add /Silver Springs, and that will take you to a page specifically designated for the Silver Springs neighborhood. Let me just show it to you real quickly. Here we go. We're looking at the Silver Springs area page on the website, and if you scroll down a little bit, you'll come to this path here. This is kind of interesting. The buttons are a little bit out of whack. In any event, let me point out what I want to point out to you. I bet with a little slightly different screen it would be fine. The green button here says watch a webinar for an update on the Silver Springs area. In effect, that's what you're doing right now. The blue button here in the upper right hand corner allows you to request current sales data on the Silver Springs area. You can ask for that at any time you want. Hover over it, change colors, click on it, the screen will then change to this page that says current sales data request, and it's very simple. You simply fill in these blanks. It will take you less than a minute to do the whole page. Include your address or condominium if it's a condo. Use the pull down menus that are here, and then when you get down to this section, put in your first and last name and your email address. If you'd like to receive our regular newsletter, include your mailing address. We'll be sure to send that to you. And then in the comment box, simply type in whatever comments or questions, or if your request is, gee, send me sales in Silver Springs or North Shore for the last year, just type that in. Click the green button, that will come to me, and I will send that off to you. It's just that simple. You can do that anytime you want. You don't have to wait for the next webinar, and you'll get specific area about all the properties that you're interested in. All right, before we wrap up here, I want to talk a bit about the change in the real estate market. It's happening, and it requires our attention here. The market is changing. We are moving from a limited supply, double-digit price appreciating market, and we've had it for quite some time now, to a frequently overpriced market for buyers who are choosing not to pay the next high sale price. And this is worth noting. It's not something you'd realize if it wasn't highlighted, and that's why I'm taking the time to do it. This is what our markets look like. The values have gone up. A little bit of adjustment keeps going up and up and up, double digits as we've reported to you. And now buyers are becoming a bit afraid about paying what sellers want because they fear that values may drop in 6 months, and they certainly don't want that to happen to them if they just bought a property. So we're starting to see that sentiment more and more with today's buyers. Now, this sentiment has been created by 2 things. Number one, national news anticipating a real estate slowdown. You read about that. There's a lot of headlines out there. Here's a couple right now. Aspen real estate in a first ever sustained nosedive. Well, that doesn't raise people's confidence in a resort area. Here's Luxury Daily. Faltering economy brings real estate market down with it. Manhattan. Further summer slowdown seen in Manhattan's luxury real estate, and overpriced homes may be slowing down LA's market. But there's enough of these headlines that are circulating around the country that some people's confidence are wavering, and a lot of our buyers live other places than Park City, so they may not know exactly how strong Park City's market is. The other sentiment that is going on here is that buyers' belief that Park City's prices can't keep going up at the pace that we've seen in recent years. What we reported to you is indeed accurate by 100%. These values are increasing among homes, amongst condominiums. But as I said before, the question is, how long will this continue? Property owners who want to sell with this change in attitude that we're seeing among buyers today need to not be so aggressive, or perhaps the right word is greedy, in pricing their properties to sell. Not suggesting that you don't try to get the highest possible price, but if you go too high, you may be sabotaging your own sale. Once sellers start negotiating with interested parties, they need to consider if they don't put together a deal, they may not see an offer for a while because the number of sales are declining, as we saw. You could be looking at a lower price in the future, and so you of course don't want to do that. What you want to consider is a total market overview analysis and price your property more reasonably for it to sell. Now, the reason I talk about a total market overview is most agents prepare what's called a CMA, or a comparative market analysis, or comparable market analysis. And that takes a look at specific neighborhoods. We're talking about Silver Springs here, maybe Silver Springs, maybe including Northshore and Southshore, like what I've included in this webinar. And they kind of stop there, and that's fine for your immediate neighborhood. But most buyers don't simply say, gee, I only want to be in Silver Springs. Some of them would consider a home in Ranch Place, or in Park Meadows, or in Pine Brook, or Jeremy Ranch. So you need to look at the total market through a total market overview, a TMO, to find out what buyers are really doing. Because if you're a seller, you have an idea what a buyer is doing, you can make better decisions. Finally, you want to negotiate the highest and best price you can, but be content with that price. Market's going up a lot, markets adjust. No single sale will change your life, but you do want to keep that in mind, that the market changes. And be content with the sale, because if you're overpriced, you may not have a sale. Well, this leads me to talking about what I call the 10% pricing rule. And it simply is this: acceptable list price. Once you determine the fair market value for your neighborhood or for your property, you could go historically up to about 10% above that price. Now, it's a bit of pressure with this market change for it to be a little lower, maybe 8%, but I'm still doing some analysis on that, so I'm not ready to say that officially yet. An unacceptable list price, however, using the 10% mark, is pricing above that. If you price above 10%, you're not likely to sell your property. So let's look at it real carefully. A fair market value property price for your place would probably allow you to sell it within the first 6 months. And you might even have multiple offers. If, however, you wanted to sell it quicker, you could even drop it below that price, but that's not something I would recommend in today's marketplace. If you chose to go up to that 10% point, it might take you 6 or 9 months to sell, and that may be fine if you're not in any hurry. You want to take the additional time for the opportunity to pull in a bigger price or a higher price. That's a decision for you to make. Maybe you don't want to take quite that long. Maybe you want to split the difference, list it 5% above the fair market price. Probably bring your selling time down to 3 to 6 months. Everybody's situation is different, so you have to be aware of this, decide what's appropriate for your scenario. What you don't want to do is you don't want to list above 10% the fair market value, because in today's market, it rarely results in a sale. Now, when I talk about the things that I've shared with you with regard to our market changing, it means that today is a time as a seller and to some degree as a buyer to adapt. You need to adapt to a change in the market, and we're seeing one now. So let's talk about the change. You don't want to sell your property for less than you should. That's a given in today's market. Don't give your property away. But beware of asking too much. That can sabotage your ability to sell your property at all. If you want to sell, don't do that to yourself. I receive emails frequently, like every day, from agents who have listed properties and they're making price adjustments. Let me just show you some. Here's one. Great price reduction now, $997,000. What's a little bit more difficult to see on this screen is they've just done a $52,000 price reduction. That's huge. They probably priced their property too high. Might have been the agent saying that was okay. Might have been a seller insisting on a higher price, but it's resulted in a price reduction. Here's another email. Sellers say bring all reasonable offers. What you're not seeing here is that from the time in which they listed their property to this latest email, they have dropped their price $195,000. Now the property was over $2 million, but that's a lot. You can tell percentage-wise that's too much. They started too high. Here's one more. $50,000 price drop for Labor Day. This one came out right before Labor Day, and they dropped their price just a little bit over $50,000. And it's just an indicator that the seller has priced their property too high, and now they need to make an adjustment because they're simply not going to sell it. Well, there's a video that I prepared, and you may want to check it out. It's called Price Right. And you go to BuyParkCityRealEstate.com/Price Right. I go into this 10% rule in greater detail. Again, doing this presentation in October 2016, watching the market carefully. I have a feeling that it may be getting adjusted. 10% may be too high, but still gathering data on that. I want enough data to really justify an adjustment. But if you're ever curious about your property, how it compares to similar properties that have sold, don't hesitate to give us a call. We would be happy to come by, share with you the data, answer any questions you have. And you don't have to even be planning to sell your property. You can just be curious. We're happy to do that. That's what we do. And finally, let me just say as I wrap up that you can learn how much your Silver Springs home is worth at any time. Simply go to our website, BuyParkCityRealEstate.com. On the home page, scroll down to the Learn What Your Property is Worth and complete the form. And again, let me just show it to you. It's going to look very much like what I showed you before, but it's on the home page. So if you go here, it's going to change. There it is. Here's the home page, and you simply want to scroll down past the property search, past the listed properties and webinars to the Learn What Your Property is Worth. Again, complete the form. Very self-explanatory. Take you less than a minute. You get to this section, click on this first one that says contact me now for a free property value assessment. I'll do that. Click the green button. It will come to me and we'll reach out to you, make arrangements, and get you the information you want. Well, with that in mind, if you have any questions, send me an email, ron@thewilsteinteam.com, or to my colleague Doug at thewilsteinteam.com. If you want us to give you a call, include your phone number, we're happy to chat with you. Finally, want to just remind you, every single month, about the middle of the month, we do a Park City Market Talk webinar. We include information like we've covered here on the market overall, and then we deal with specific topics that are relevant for the time of the year. And so check it out. It's always good for a general update, but this webinar was specifically on Silver Springs. With that in mind, thank you for taking the time to watch this webinar, to listen to me. Again, don't hesitate to contact me with any questions that you might have.